She wears a kind of hood drawn to a point over her forehead and falling on her shoulders. It's a classic English gable hood of the early Tudor period. A short barb covers her neck. The foldings of her mantle are arranged with graceful simplicity. The whole figure conveys the idea of its having been modelled from real casts of the original, meaning Margaret's body. It is entirely of copper, again other sources say bronze, and has been richly gilt. But the gilding is now only partially visible. It's interesting that this gilt was evidently very well worn away even in 1818. On each side, lying loose on the tomb, is a slender pillar pierced with arches, etc., in the pointed style. These also, as well as the canopy which they appear to support, are of gilt copper. Round the verge is the following inscription, which was composed by the learned Erasmus, and for which, as it is entered in an ancient cuteness or accounting book belonging to St. John's College, he had a reward of 20 shillings. The original is in Latin, so I'm going to give you a translation here. Margaret of Richmond, mother of Henry VII, grandmother of Henry VIII, who gave a salary to 3 months of this convent and founded a grammar school at Wimborne, and to a preacher throughout England and to 2 interpreters of Scripture, one at Oxford, the other at Cambridge, where she likewise founded 2 colleges, one to Christ and the other to St. John, his disciple. Died AD 1509, 3rd calends of July, meaning the 29th of June. Her epitaph is fascinating to me, as unlike what you see on the tombs of many aristocratic women of Margaret's era, it doesn't tell you who her father or any of her 3 husbands were, instead just mentioning her son and grandson, who were much higher ranked, and focusing on Margaret's own achievements rather than just her bloodline. The appearance of the tomb has changed a couple of times since the late 1520s. According to Westminster Abbey's website, the grille made by Cornelius Simonson, which was once elaborately painted and decorated with coats of arms and other ornaments, was taken down along with several others in the Abbey and sold by James Wyatt on behalf of the Dean and Chapter in 1823. It was rediscovered and purchased in 1914 by the National Art Collections Fund and presented to the Abbey and replaced around the tomb. This explains why there is no grille to be seen in photographs of the tomb taken before World War I, and yet it is there again today. Nowadays, one must squeeze past the huge memorials to Margaret Douglas, Countess of Lennox, and Mary Queen of Scots in order to get to Lady Margaret Beaufort's tomb, which is actually the smallest and simplest of the 3, despite all the money spent on it. However, for many decades after she was interred, the Dowager Countess of Richmond and Derby was the only person of great note in this part of the Henry VII chapel, and her tomb would have been the centrepiece of the whole room, and instantly drawn the eye when one walked in. None of the Stuarts were there yet, though she now lies within just a few feet of literally scores of them, with the likes of Charles II, William III, Mary II, and Queen Anne buried in a vault at the foot of her own. Make no mistake about it though, initially, Margaret was meant to be the centre of attention in that part of the chapel. So we've established what the tomb looks like, but what is the symbolism in its design and decoration? For it is intended to communicate a great deal of information to the viewer, much of which is lost on a modern audience. Let's start with the effigy, which is the most striking part of the whole thing in my opinion. It shows Margaret in old age and wearing widow's weeds in a subtle nod to her position as a thrice-widowed woman, whose last husband, Thomas Stanley, Earl of Derby, had died in 1504. In fact, the effigy looks very much like one of the surviving paintings we have of her, and though her clothing suggests wealth and
don't forget to reach out to Jana about membership to get the early bird discount during Smiley Face. Jana. Okay. Well, we will see who else joins us this morning. Takeda, are you there? Is it just your fascinating nascent star? Okay. Okay. Kate, I don't know if you're there. Don't forget our live Zoom session is right now! Exclamation point. something I scheduled a while ago, just to get it on the, so that I could change the customization so that if I went live when I was out and about, there'd be no trolls commenting when you change that. Because for some reason, YouTube thinks it's fun that the default should be any asshole can comment who wants to. Um, no, it's not. And it's exactly, which, that makes no sense either. It's not like it would be very hard to make it available on the app. What is it that thinks it's about to go live? Let me find out. What's today's date? Today is the 7th. Oh, I see it. Okay, yep, got it. Okay, yep. That was my, I do still plan to do that at some point, because that's the traditional market I wanna take you all to and show it to you. But it's like, it's been insanely hot, so I'm just going to casually reschedule that for next week. And we'll hope that the temperatures are not freezing. Hmm? Yeah, exactly, because it's, yeah, I've got nothing on my notes today. Got nothing on Tuesday. Okay. And my condottiere will be back, which means I'll have a cameraman, which is even better. So I'll just pop that there. Yeah, it's been, the heat wave has been unbelievable, even by Korean standards. It's really, this climate change for but the market is not, there are indoor parts, but the cool parts are mostly kind of in the streets and the alleyways between the indoor parts. And you combine that with hundreds of other people milling about, it's like, it is, it very much is, and it is in literally the same spot. Hmm? Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly. The only saving grace is the shade, because they did in Korea over all those markets they have built they've roofed they built a roof over top of the road. So if it rains it's not a problem. It's not like in the bad old days where if it rained your goods were ruined. But so there is shade, yay. Okay, positive. That's a big positive, but it's also still you're crammed in between buildings, so if it's 100 degrees plus humidity, and I just thought, yeah, it's like, do I really want to put on a Bellier and sweat into it? And it's kind of weird because Korea acts like, I mean, it is a four seasons country, but it still acts like it's like a mild four seasons country. So in Southern Asia, they just admit you don't do anything during the day. Markets are not open during the day. Markets open up at nighttime when it's not dying deadly hot. But Korea's like, oh, well, but in the spring and fall it's nice. So why should we have night markets? And I'm just like, I don't know, so that people will come out and go shopping? Because what's happening is the traditional markets are dying, of course. Young people especially want to shop at all the trendy stores, right? They want to go to the pedestrian zones where it's Nike and Gucci and Pandora and skincare stores and music blasting, Korean K-pop blasting at literally nightclub levels. And that's supposed to attract people into the store, but it literally just makes me run away. So that's an interesting cultural difference. No, so I think I'm actually on the spectrum. I've never liked loudness. I've never ever liked mean, when I didn't like children because they were loud assholes when I was a child. I didn't like children. When my favorite time on the bus, riding the school bus to school, was when we stopped at the railroad tracks and everyone had to shut the fuck up because we had to open the door and listen for the train. Like that was I was like, oh thank God. And I realize in retrospect that probably I've got some sensory things going on, but whatever, I've managed to cope with it. But the point is that I've never liked noise, and so, and these would be, you would think that, so you'd think these stores are catering to young people. You would be wrong. You would be sadly mistaken. Yeah, they are not catering to just young people. Especially, yeah, it's weird, which makes it doubly weird. It's like, okay, I can understand if it's catering to the 20-something crowd in Korea, but no, 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 and like I went to, yeah, none of that. It's really crazy, and oh well, yeah, no, in Japan, yeah, for certain, yeah. Well, so it used to be like that, but that's changing now, right? So 10 years ago, that was absolutely the case. Literally, it was the expectation that the second you got married, you stopped doing child things, which by the way would have included medieval reenactment, and definitely included D&D. So, it's all cool, you can do that until you get married, and then you have to get, your hobbies can be the men's social club, the women's social club, golfing, this is any sport, actually, but real sports, not fantasy sort of sports, right? So, it could be uh, oh yeah, no, in Korea everyone does take on. But it's mostly just children and teenagers. And then once they go to college, they stop. I mean, there's some who still continue, like, the like 6-degree black belts or whatever, but, it's, most people don't pursue that. No, Koreans never become immobile as far as I can tell. Like, never. The second they become immobile is the second they drop dead and die. It's remarkable. And they don't do that until they're in their 80s or 90s. It's really remarkable. They are so, like, I've been, yeah, it really is, that is the moral of my story. I take these early morning walks and they've got all these outdoor exercise facilities, which in the United States just get ignored when you see them, right? Like, no one's using them. But in Korea, every person above 50 is using them. And it's like, yep, right, yeah. Yep, the rivers, they've mostly remediated it, but there's still, literally, it looks like a giant took his hands and just scraped along the river sides. So there are spots in what used to be grass and topsoil where it's now down to the rocky understrata. Because that flooding was epic, it was epic. Especially now, this is with them controlling the water, right? This is with sophisticated water control systems, and it's still flash flooded only imagine how catastrophic it would have been 100 years ago. That would have been a lot of dead people, because there are pictures. One of the, I think, did I show you the old pictures of Old Daegu, like on the river? I don't know if we went past that part. You would remember it, right? Either way, you haven't seen the pictures of the river from like 100 years ago, right? Yeah. So there were yeah in Korea they don't do the stilts thing, but on some of the little like semi islands and the islets, I mean tiny little sandbars, people have built shacks, right? People have built shacks, and that would have been right down the river, and so you're thinking, wow, just wow, that would have been absolutely dramatic. But every morning when I've gone out by 5 a.m., all of those workout areas are packed. Like there's literally, you can tell that there's some kind of rotation has developed between each of the stations, and everyone understands this is the way we're moving through them. But the point is that Koreans of all socioeconomic levels know that you need to stay in good condition. You need to keep exercising. They do stretches, like they're all out there before they even start their walk or their run on that river. They're all doing these martial arts stretches, which honestly I'm like, you really shouldn't do that cold. Like you should walk a little bit and then do your stretching. But okay, whatever. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. They and the crazy part is one of these men, he came from his apartment to the river with a mobility device, with his mobility scooter, parked it there on the river walk, and was doing again these crazy stretches. His leg was like here. He's like got it on the rail, and he's like, I can't even, like, this is it, baby. But his is like here, like a freaking ballerina, and he's like 80, and he used a mobility device to get there. Like, okay, well then. But and then I go back to the U.S. and I visit my parents, and I'm like, Jesus, guys, we need to start moving. Like you literally move like you are 20 years older than any Korean that is your age. Edwardian. Yeah, yep, after Victoria comes Edward, and of course, there's a question, of course, whether Edwardian applies to American architecture, but then again, we call it Victorian homes, so why not? Yeah, right. It's like otherwise, I'm not certain what I would call the Edwardian era in America because it's like it's World War One and then it's the Roaring Twenties, right? And neither of those are really whereas in England it's the Edwardian era. Right. Yeah, very, very briefly, Edward. Oh, oh, so briefly, Edward again. Oh, so briefly, yeah. So briefly, one might even say that it isn't an era. Yeah, right. Have you ever read about their relationship? It was, Jesus, he was a piece of work. Oh my God, everyone blamed her, but she was like, he glommed onto her, he wouldn't let her go. Well, honestly, I can't blame him because at that time it would have been a bunch of vapid debutantes wanting to be queen, right? And so, what kind of real relationship could he expect to have with someone who's just angling for the throne? I could say anything. Yeah, Mr. Nazi himself. Yeah, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. Well, he apparently kept threatening. He kept threatening to commit suicide if Wallace, because she kept saying, "I'm done. I want out," and he would threaten to commit suicide apparently. So, so she kind of felt like she had to, you know, yeah, pretty was, and of course all that came out, like you said, afterwards, after the fact. But thank God he abdicated because just imagine World War II with him being the wrong side of history. Jesus H Christ. He would have sided with Hitler. they're vestigial at this point, really. Yeah, it is done. Of course, the House of Commons that took that allowed Brexit to happen, so their record isn't so stellar. It was risky, and they're literally paying the price for it. You know, it's the whole way it went out. I mean, maybe you knew this, but maybe you didn't. You know, in that so-called not not effectual referendum that they ended up acting on, even though they advertised it as we're just taking the pulse, but we won't actually act on the results. And then they acted on the results, right? Well, that referendum, all of the, well, no, but not only that, but the people who were living in Europe, in the EU, the British citizens living in the EU weren't allowed to participate in it. So, and there's not a small number of people Brits who were at that time living and working in the EU. It's a British colony. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's a British colony right on the coast. Yeah, they are. Yep. Because it used to be, so before, no, so before, here's what happened, because I actually lived and studied in southern Spain and met a lot of those expat Brits. So what happened was, what it used to be before the euro was the peseta, and the exchange rate between the pound and the peseta was incredibly advantageous for the Brits. The euro changed all that. The euro caused massive inflation because all the stores took the opportunity to give a not fair exchange rate when they swapped from their local currencies into the euro, because the numbers seemed lower because the exchange rate was like 200 pesetas to a euro. So what was like 1,000 pesetas before is now 7 or 8 euros, and that seems so much cheaper, but it's almost double the price. So, but before that, it was super cheap for the Brits to buy land in Spain, especially because before 2000, Spain was still economically not doing super well. So it was expensive to buy land in the UK. It still is, because there's a lot of people and not a lot of land, but there's a lot of land in Spain, and it was cheap. And so that's why they ended up going for Spain. And then, Brits attract Brits. But I will tell you that I resent the presence of the Brits in southern Spain, because they're assholes. They never learn to speak Spanish. They only eat fucking British food. And yeah, they're bad. They're bad. They're bad. Most of them are. I hope so. Now, granted, I haven't interacted with British residents of Spain since 20 years. So I'm hoping it's changing. Yeah. I hope it is. No, it's mushy peas and mash. Oh god, black pudding. Wow, nasty. Stuff is disgusting. A mouth of copper and iron. Right. Oh, and it gets stuck and you taste it. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, it has no taste. I mean, you taste the intestines once you milk them and clean them out. Once you milk them and wash them, they don't have any taste. They're literally just a carrier. Yeah, it's collagen exactly. There's nothing wrong with them. Yeah, so I have no problem with that. But I will tell you though, cow intestines, because in Korea they do a lot of, there's restaurants that specialize in offal. But it's mostly, it's specific. It's really interesting how it's a very Chinese way they break it up. It's specifically the stomach offal. So it's intestines. It's actually also includes pork belly. So it's like it's not just the inside. It's like this this part of the animal from outside. Exactly. Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. It's like right here, right? This. Yep. Yep, and so you can go to one of these restaurants and they are usually these days barbecue. So you order from various parts and then they bring it to the table and you grill it. But if you go to the market and you'll see when I take you to Salmon Market, they have these traditional ways, of course, not to grill it because traditionally barbecuing and grilling is something that the wealthy do, right? Traditionally, it's stewing and it's steaming. So there's literally like heaping piles of intestines in these stew pots, just casting off steam, and the smell is oh so special. It is it is very clearly an acquired taste that I have not acquired. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I understand. You don't want to waste anything. I get that. I really do. Right. Is that what we call people who make charcoal in English? Is that the word? Is that okay? Because I know the word in German because I lived in a part of Germany where that's a traditional thing, but actually I never knew the word in English. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Right. I actually think the mid. I think the medieval English word is collier. Actually, I think that's a charcoal name for that. Yeah. Right. see how that may be undesirable. Right. Yeah, I have seen that happen. Oh, wow. Okay. That's that's great. It's just what everyone should be inhaling. OSHA. Who cares about OSHA? Just. Oh wow. That would explain the smell, I guess. No, that's great. I just realized I was just checking the time. It's not that late where you are actually. It's only 9:15 where you're. Oh, I get it. I well, it's hard. I mean, I think it's hard to sleep past when the family starts. For me, I can't. If other people are up and about, I'm up and about. I can't sleep past other people being wakeful and moving. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing for my husband. Soldiers can do that shit. I can sleep through artillery, no problem. But if there are people awake, I will wake up. Artillery's not the problem, it's the humans. The humans doing things, I get FOMO. Like, oh my god, they're up. What are they doing? I need to be part of it, whatever it is. At least that's what I figured it is. Because I can sleep through pretty much most any noise, okay, except for the freaking. So we are living, like I said, in a storage apartment right now, and unfortunately, this is the street right outside of Camp Walker. So there's a whole bunch of little bars that cater to lazy soldiers who don't want to go downtown, and they think that they're the best singers in the world. The one that's literally 2 doors down from our building, and at 3 a.m. they start screaming. They think they're singing. They do think they're singing, but they're not. They are screaming Wonderwall at 3 a.m. in the morning, and that wakes me up. But those are people. So again, not artillery. It's people screaming Wonderwall, and I mean like 20 of them at once, screaming Wonderwall. 20 drunk, out of tune, out of key people screaming Wonderwall. Last night it was some other equally overdone song screamed at the top of their lungs. Like, why do you think volume improves your quality? It does not. no shit. Oh my god. So you know what? So do you remember Logan's first frame? Were you there for his first frame? This would have been 97. Okay. So his first reign, he and Ariel, they were the golden children. He was a good guy. Honest to Christ. Honest to God. He was a fantastic king, his first two reigns. Fantastic. He was he was no, but he didn't just act like a nice guy. He was a good guy. And Ariel dying like fucked him up big time. Her dying of cancer, withering away that way, something changed. Because when I was queen in 2009 and he was king of Atlantia, at the state dinner, so we're at the state dinner, right? He couldn't give a shit. Like he walked in and his crown was like off on the side of his head, and he sat down and put his feet up on the table. I mean, and of course since then the things he's saying, it's like, oh my god, dude, shut up. I mean, just stop talking. Stop typing. Don't hit send. Ah, you hit send. It's yeah. He's a different guy now. He's just such a different guy now. So yeah, exactly. Let's talk to Logan and Mikey about being a left wing radical LGBTQ Marxist, neo communist, whatever. Oh no, no. We're safe. This is a safe space. Atlantia. Atlantia. Whoa. I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, yeah. No, it's yep. No, it's absolutely true. Yeah. Wow. Do you know who made that act? Who tossed that I actually didn't know anyone's real names back then. Are you talking about David? Oh, Kuin? Oh, but you said La Belle Compagnie. Right, right. But I mean, why were these accusations being tossed by? Why? Jesus. Right, yeah. People are so have been social media is broken people. So people are now so hypersensitive. They have no resilience, and especially the younger you get, the worse this gets. They have no resilience. If words are not exactly right, then the response is unequivocal and unforgiving and immutable. There's no room for, okay, well, you use that word, but you didn't mean that word really. It's okay, I understood what you meant, right? There's no more I understood what you meant. It's all about, did you use exactly the right word? Did you use exactly the right pronoun? Did you use exactly the right tone? The right emoji in some cases, right? Instead of, and this is social media is doing this on, right? So wrong. Oh my god. Oh no. Ah. Yeah, I mean, it can be, if it's not prepared properly, it can get gross, yeah. No, I agree. Eggplant is what you make it, literally, like, yeah. It's a receptacle for flavors. No, you're right. It's not like tempeh. No, I was not tracking that there was a big, but I would imagine that probably that post got taken down, and honestly, it should be taken down. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the whole Charlie Kirk debacle has unleashed a whole new level of shit. That is, it's like the death of the Archduke, Ferdinand, Archduke of Austria, right? Like he wasn't actually important in himself at all. Um, but his death, right? I mean, and even for Austria, it wasn't really a big deal, right? Like, I mean, monarchy was on its way out anyway. They just hadn't accepted it yet. Um, but it wasn't really. He wasn't an important person. But man, we fought a whole fucking war over that piece of shit, right? So, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's this, but exactly, but he just became like he became this ostensible symbol for as a justification for all this other stuff, right? So Charlie Kirk himself, he's a pissant whatever, right? But the way, goddamn, the Vance taking over this podcast and doing it from the White House, are you fucking shitting me? I mean, I mean, so here's what the Republicans are doing. Trump is rotting, literally. I don't mean metaphorically. He's probably not going to last the year. They're trying to get MAGA to like Vance. They want they want MAGA to like Vance. So they're hoping that by sliding him into Charlie Kirk's podcast, he can basically take over that fan base. Because they know that once Trump is gone, they're not going to control MAGA anymore. MAGA doesn't like any of the Republicans. They're not they're not their orange cow, right? They don't have none of them have that weird combination of charisma and ignorance that he has, right? So right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But the thing is that he combined that with this weird charisma that is very appealing to his MAGA base. Vance doesn't have that. Vance Vance doesn't have that. No one actually has that in the GOP. Everyone wants to be the successor, but really none of them have that. And if you start looking at them even a little bit closely, you're going to find out they're all they're trying, I think what they're trying to do, the GOP is trying to position Vance to try to make him seem like the next Charlie Kirk or whatever, so he can take over that base and control the upcoming elections, because we're gonna have a President Vance within the year. I would lay money on it, honestly. I would lay money that Trump does not live out the next 365 days. He's literally rotting. I don't know if you've seen any of the wounds on his skin that are the result of him taking cardiovascular medication that thins his skin, and his tangles are not a good. Right. At the best, he'll be in a coma on life support. Right. That's. Janie? Yeah. I know. It's so sad. No. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's what's happening. I think that's why the GOP is doing all this bullshit martyrdom nonsense. I mean, putting fucking Charlie Kirk in state, flying his body on Air Force Two. Where's the investigation into fraud, waste, and abuse about that shit? I mean, one flight on that plane is several $million, for God's sake. Right. And where's the outrage over government fraud, waste, and abuse from, the people who voted for Trump because he was going to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse? I'm not hearing it. I haven't heard it. It's remarkable. Whatever, yeah. Doggy. Right, right. Looks like maybe he was smart enough to realize what was going to happen. Oh yeah, no, 100. No, I agree with you. The second someone came in my live stream and said Charlie Kirk had been shot, I was like, the GOP had it killed. That's cute. It's only 12 It's no longer news, just the news, right? Like that's Walter Cronkite, baby, that's long gone, long, long gone. I mean, I remember the midday. Right. I miss, Reagan did so much damage to our country, like so much damage. Getting rid of the fairness doctrine was Jesus, the worst thing for information. There could be no Fox News with the fairness doctrine, literally. Yeah, yeah. But I think they couldn't have called themselves Fox News though with the fairness doctrine. And that's the thing. Like no one would then think they were news because they couldn't call themselves news because Americans apparently are not given the same critical thinking skills in school that other countries are given as part of their nationally regulated curricula, so that everyone basically learns the same things instead of being whether you come from a rich city or a poor city making a difference in what you learn. Yeah, I will say I'm genuinely concerned that especially with the way the Republicans are losing their mind, that they're going to try to use this as their Reichstag moment finally, and and then they will come for the liberals' guns, which that's going to end badly. I yes, that's right. Ooh, bump stock, yay! I mean, I will say that. Right. Well, and that is certainly the original definition of the word conservative. And what it should mean. It literally means to conserve. Right. It's like when you say to take a conservative approach means that you're not just going to maverick your way through it, right? Like that's what it should mean. Which is why I've switched from I don't use the word conservative anymore for the Republicans. I call them regressives because they're not conservative. They're not conserving shit. They're literally not conserving anything. Nothing is being conserved. Nothing. I mean, it's like literally if you're trying to make things the way they were before civil rights grandmother should have inherited a large amount of money, but her conservator, her guardian, her Aunt Georgie stole it all. Yeah. No, yeah, no, seriously, yep, literally, I am a Vanderbilt. And I should be a wealthy heiress, but my great Aunt Georgie's great Aunt Georgie stole it and lost it in the stock market from my grand. She stole my grandmother's trust fund and lost it on the stock market in 1929. So yeah. But yeah, I mean the Gilded Age. It's a oh my god, brilliant. Jesus. It's like someone who bought McDonald's stock when they first did their IPO. Wow, back when you would like start working at a company and work your way up and work for them your whole life and then get a pension. Wow. Oh, what a world. What a world. Wait, which archery event did you cancel? Oh, the practice. Okay, because Lord Master Papas, right? That's the nickname that me and my friends amusingly gave my dad because he's also in the SCA and at first he got his AOA and so he just and now he's an order member of the Order of the Pelican. So we and he's not a titles guy at all. Like not very much a plebe. So it's kind of like an inside joke to call him Lord Master Papa. But he's in Bright Hills technically, even though he lives in Delaware. He pretends he's in Bright Hills. And they're doing their big. Yeah, yeah. They have a cook skill. That's the main thing. So he's a cook. So they're doing their trial by fire. I think it's called, and that has an archery. I think it's called flaming arrows, maybe. It could be. You could be very well right. I don't even know what day it is. Like it's Wednesday or Tuesday. North of Baltimore. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. It's on the. If by inside you mean the Western Shore, it's on the Western Shore. Yeah. We call it Eastern Shore. It's called the Eastern Shore. It's when Outer Banks is in North Carolina. Oh, they call those the Outer Banks. Interesting. Oh, interesting. I'm from Delmarva and I didn't even know that. But the southern part is kind of really far away. Yeah, yeah, right. Oh yeah, I guess those are. You're right. Those are. No, you're right. Those are the Outer Banks. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Those are for certain. Right. Oh yeah, OBX is the Carolinas. That's Carolina, yeah, OBX. Okay, well that's just wrong. OBX is Carolinas. Goodness gracious. Oh goodness. Is nothing sacred anymore? Nothing? Clearly not. Oh, on the machine? Well, you'll see, I don't know. Oh, right, right. If you're gonna belt it. So you're, oh, I see. Clever. It's okay. 15th century English butcher French also, so you're being authentic. Arrigo. Yeah, Arrigo, yeah. Right, right. Mm, it's all basically an overlayer, a species of overlayer of top layer. Well, that's good. Well, I mean, it's better to have overly like I do the circuit or anything, but via all of my friends, I've heard of most Renaissance fairs in the country. So what is is it not a for-profit venture or? Uh, uh, right, right, right. I mean, I've been to Leesburg. Um, that used to kind of be my SCA stomping grounds. So someone got out yesterday into the hallway and he vanished, and he got scared and he ended up down at the bottom of the stairwell next to the automatic opening door, I'd like to add. And but the door freaked him out so much that he didn't want to come to me because my presence made the door open. So I had to go halfway up the stairs and get a licky stick and make him come to me to get the treats because he was so scared of the door. So yeah, I've been, thankfully no. Thankfully the door freaked him. Yeah, yeah, his little body doesn't trigger the sensor, happily. But, right. No, definitely not. Again, there is no outside sensor. You have to enter a code. So yeah, this is Korea. It's all codes. Which, by the way, makes it very dangerous when I go back to the U.S. and then I forget about keys. So, like, what do you mean I need a metal object to open this door? Where's the code pad? So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you have those too. Like you can also, you didn't have a code or you get a card, get a card key, so you can use either. But the nice thing about a code is you can't forget it. Yeah, we're I mean we've traveled around Asia. We've only lived in Asia. We've only lived in Korea, but we traveled around quite a bit. Yeah, yeah. We spent time in Japan and Hong Kong and Thailand and little very very brief time in Malaysia and Vietnam and Singapore. Have only been to China long enough to overnight at Beijing International Airport, so I can't really claim to have been to China. Obviously, I saw China from Hong Kong and waved at it from the top of a mountain, but of course now that was before 2019. That was before China basically broke their pinky swear to not mess with Hong Kong. So 47? Ah, well, don't go back now. It's scary now. Breaks my heart. You know, when we were last there, the last time we were there was in the spring of 2019, before China started mucking about really meanly. But I remember looking outside from our window in the Mandarin Oriental, looking down at a military post they had down there in the square right below it, and noticing how the soldiers were doing drills. And thinking to myself, I've never seen them do those drills before, and we've stayed in this hotel a lot. So, yeah, it's super unfortunate. I feel sorry for Ola, and a lot of my expat friends who were living in Hong Kong, they left. They went, they went, they went to Singapore or Kuala Lumpur, or yeah, they left. They said, "Yep, I've got an American passport. I'm out of here." Right, right. Yeah, that's my brother-in-law. He was a loadmaster in the Air Force. So he went to Africa a lot. 'Cause he was a C-5 loadmaster and a C-130 loadmaster. So he went to Africa a lot. But as you said, he saw Africa from the tailgate, basically, the back end of the plane. Yeah, there's a lot of places I would like to go see in the Middle East that are definitely not safe to go see. And unfortunately, I don't know how much longer they're going to be there at this rate. You know, with the Islamicists wantonly destroying pre-Islamic, arts and architecture. Like, wow, okay, okay. God told you to do that, huh? Right, sure. As I said, not recording. This is. Yeah. No, that is okay. Way to misinterpret scripture, buddy. Glad it makes you feel powerful or whatever. Oh yeah, no, I mean it's my so-called fellow my fellow so-called Christians. Yeah, that's not even. Oh, oh yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah, right, yeah, right, right, exactly. I think and because the United Kingdom just you are not. Right. So you're a traditional monarchy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it literally you still have laws on the books that will punish you for shooting arrows on the green before you attend mass. And they're still in effect. How do I know this? Because a judge actually used them to punish a bunch of guys who decided they were going to go and shoot longbows on the green. Because because they found this statute from Henry VIII's time that said you had to shoot, you had to go every Sunday morning and shoot. Every Sunday you had to go and shoot to practice longbow, right, on the green. And so they decided, yeah, at the target, yeah, right, right, good, yeah. So right, right, exactly. So these smarmy, I think they were Oxford students, thought they were going to be cute and go and shoot longbows on the green. Well, of course, they got arrested for public disorder or whatever, use of a deadly weapon. I don't know, something like that. And they defended themselves using this statute. And this judge, he went back and looked at the statutes and he said, yeah, but the statute also says you have to attend mass first, and you didn't. So I'm fining you for not attending mass. I think so. I think that right. I think the judge would have allowed that, but they didn't do that either. Like there was no churching, right? Then that doesn't matter. Says mass. Yeah, I'm not actually Lutheran. I think yeah. So I think just saying. Well, I mean, it certainly dates. So the mass was before the Reformation. So certainly it's referring to the once universal church, so to say. But, right. Exactly. Right. Well, I mean, technically, this is a civil law. It wasn't a church law, so it's a civil law. Right, right. we do. Right. Vestiges. Right. Ha! Don't call us and we won't call you. Ah, right, yeah. Right, 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 right. Well, I think it would be a really fun. I could see. So you know what, this is something we could actually do at Penzic, because we have critical mass. We'll call it a mock court of chivalry, right, just to make sure everyone understands, right? And we'll have ringers set up in advance to bring their cases and defend their cases. I know plenty of people who'd be totally into this, so if you come to Penzic, we can do this. I will preside over a court of chivalry quite happily. I think, and I don't, I mean, no, I, depending on who's on the respective thrones of various kingdoms, I could probably even convince one of my royal peer friends to convene it as a royal thing, or at least to be on the panel of judges. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, Renee's book of the tournament. Yep. Right. 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 Yeah, no, no, definitely not. And most awards as such were not presented to the individual in person in court. It was an announcement that was made, the messenger arrived and said, congratulations. Uh, right, right, exactly, yep. It would not have, it would, there would, except with the exception of, right, the exception being, of course, knighthood, which is actually usually done as a mass ceremony, not as an individual thing. Um, well, yeah, but I mean, that's the 16th century. Yeah, in the 15th century, they're still doing mass knightings. Um, and not even necessarily pre-battle, just sort of like, okay, you all have now reached 21, you've proven yourselves, we're going to knight you all now. Or if the Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund, when he was making his way through Italy in the 1440s, he would stop in different cities and would actually mass knight many of the citizens, who of course, even though they'd all kicked their nobility out, their aristocrats out, or killed them in the 14th century, now they're like, oh, we want to be aristocrats. So can you do us a solid and knight us? And Sigismund is like, yeah, sure, for a price. Um, but in fairness, it's like yeah, which is why I'm always amused when I find accidental authenticity, as I call it. Um, because, for instance, the buildings in Penzing, right? People have been building structures, although I've come to the conclusion that the structure building era of Penzing is over, unfortunately. But for decades, people were building structures, all kinds of structures in Penzing. And, they did it because it was cool, because it was neat, not because anyone did any research and looked into temporary encampment tournament structures in the Middle Ages. But it turns out, as I've been doing my own reading from chronicles about these great feats of arms over the years, it happened quite a lot, and not just for deeds of arms, for weddings, for entries, triumphal entries, right? They would literally say, none of the buildings here can seat 300 people. Great, we're gonna build a temporary great hall in that field over there, and I want you to plumb it with wine. So, but yeah, that's like yeah, I mean exactly. That's like the end of it almost of that whole thing. And so then it turns out that wow, our desire to build temporary structures to enhance our fair, our great tournament experience is actually authentic. But it was and that's why I call it accidental authenticity. Because for certain, Casa Bardici didn't do any research into, temporary structures in feats of arms. They were set builders and they decided they wanted to have a villa. So they built a temporary, yeah, so they built one, yeah. So, well, so there's some confusion. Right, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, actually, none of them are there, so, oh no, long time ago. Long time ago. The state church had, last time I, the last time I saw the state church was 12 years ago. Yeah, someone bought it from the original owner and then they used it as a shop for a couple of years and then I never saw it again. So I assume it probably it finally gave up. And even Oakwood Hall, the last time Oakwood Hall is going to make it hasn't been in the last couple of Hansicks. It will be next year will be the last year. Apparently Oakwood Hall is going to be set up for one final time. Casa Bardici, of course, they got banished from their spot, but basically they were looking to get out anyway. They were looking for a way to honorably bow out because basically all the original people had aged out and they had not succeeded in recruiting, or they hadn't tried to recruit a younger generation to take over with the engineering and construction. So they were actually looking for a way out anyway. So when they got banned for supposedly breaking sound ordinances and whatnot, they just accepted it. Sadly. Oh, everyone comes a week early now. But they didn't. They didn't actually come a week early to start to set up. So they literally didn't start setting up until the first Friday. And so it's as of the final Thursday morning, they were still putting the finishing touches on because they didn't have enough people to actually like get it together in a couple of days. So this has been the last 10, 12 years at least. It's been this way. Now, granted, when you're talking about that was probably back before they started setting up Pensick 2 weeks before the event starts. So these days, so this is how it goes these days. If the event starts on August 1st, just as an example, the staff actually arrive like July 16th to start setting things up now. So that by the time that land grab happens, everything is set up. And there are some camps who've gotten special permission now to come even before that to start setting up. Some camps, if they're also on staff. They're allowed to come and set up early if they're also on staff and help set up the event. Yeah, yeah. And the Coopers have allowed some different encampments to do so. Well, yeah, which is funny and not been where they're at right now. They definitely have not been where they are right now since they started. Their so-called two Chuck Hill has no, it's now called Woodchuck Hill. Woodchuck Hill, yeah, yeah. And most people weren't around when that whole thing happened, so most people don't know why the two Chucks are now out in the back of Beyond, instead of being part of the event. But yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people now. There are some groups who do get to come even before that, but probably the time you're talking about, coming a week early would be coming for Land Grab. Yeah, no, if they used to do that, they stopped doing that at least 12 years ago. Um, and that no doubt has to do with the fact that, like I said, a lot of the original group either quit or aged out or just didn't want to anymore or died, unfortunately, in some cases. So, yeah, so basically they were starting for the last lots of years, they had been starting setup on Land Grab Friday, and they didn't have critical mass to get it done quickly. And instead of putting the word out and asking for people to come and help, they didn't. So that meant as of the morning of the hoity-toity party, they were generally still putting the final touches on. And then, of course, Friday morning, they'd have to immediately start tearing down. So they were, honestly, I talked to Seamus, who is the most recent head of the household, basically, and he said he was happy for the chance to gracefully bow out of building the villa every year and to actually just go and enjoy Penzing. But Oakwood Hall in the center of the town square, that was their thing too. So basically, when they got banished, they said, okay, fine, we won't put up Oakwood Hall either. And that was a big, that definitely took an impact on the visual of the marketplace, sadly. To camp where? Oh, right. It is square. It's very square. It is square. It's square and it's on purpose square. Uh, it's a 15th century smock. They have different necklines. There are some that are round and there are some that are square. This is a square one. So that, and actually this is it. I think it's done. I think this. I'm like, which seam did I not finish? I think it might actually be done. Okay, we may have actually finished all the seams. There we go. All finished. Right. keep asking me if curdles are comfortable, and I was like, yes. And they would be super comfortable to wear on a day-to-day basis. You just obviously just don't make it drag on the ground, because modern surfaces suck for hemlines, but otherwise, yeah, they're super comfortable. I can guarantee you, you would love a curdle as a regular daily garment. Isn't it uncomfortable? Isn't it tight and binding? No, it's literally built to fit exactly on my shape, not to bind it, to conform to it. Okay, yeah, I think I did. I think I may have actually magically somehow finished all the seams. Oh, are those the kind that wrap around the ankle? That looks nice. Pakistan. Oh no, I agree. All my shoes are currently boots by Wilma, so yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. I know the shoe. No one polishes their shoes anymore, right? I know. There was a section, right? And you could usually get like a couple of different colors of shoe polish, actually. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I remember. I haven't gone shopping in a while to see, but oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, no. Right. And good luck with finding stuff that's actually soot and beeswax anymore. Did you manage to find it? Is that what you ended up finding? Oh, right, right. I wonder how hard it would be to make shoe polish, make shoe polish. Lamp black. I mean, is it really just a question of mixing beeswax and soot, or is there something else that needs to go in there? Yeah, it's true. People forget that. Right. also tend to have leather care references also. I'm trying to think if I've ever read a concoction that was indicated, you know, to make your shoes whatever, to make them shiny. Maybe for all I think. Right. So it's more about yeah, it's not necessarily about making the shoe shiny, but about protecting it. Right. 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 Because it will. That is. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Shiny. Right. They're all fatty acids. Right. Right. That's good. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah. I think don't spill battery acid full stop is probably a good maximum, a good mode to live by. But so when I actually, I make wax linen wraps for food covers and whatnot, you know, and I teach that as well. And I made a post on a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, it could be 10 years ago, I don't know. Relatively recently, I made a post referencing it, and someone asked about making wax wraps, and someone else posted, "Oh, it's really easy. All you have to do is melt some beeswax and dip your fabric in it." And I'm like, no, no, because if you do that, it's just going to be stiff, and the wax will eventually literally crack out of the fabric. You need to add oil to make it flexible. And if you want it to stick, you have to add a little bit of pine resin. Right? It's not just as simple as, oh, just melt some beeswax and dip your fabric in it. It it doesn't. It's the tiniest. I mean, it's such a tiny amount of resin that you don't need a lot. Let me go grab mine. I don't think they smell like pine trees. Let me see. No, it doesn't. So this is an old one. It's been very well loved. So don't judge. Um, if anything, it smells more like the cheese. Yeah. If anything, it smells more like the cheese in which I usually wrap it. Yeah. No, that it's. I mean, it's. God, I don't know where my supplies are. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not overpowering. So. And honestly, I think the smell is pleasant, even such as it is, but it doesn't infuse your food with that kind of flavor, so it's not a problem. Right, yeah, yeah. My toiletry kit, yeah, yeah. I had, yep, at an earlier tour, one of my earlier, one in the small pavilion, when I was in the small pavilion, yeah. And those, if you don't add the resin, it doesn't actually stick very well. It doesn't not stick. Right, it doesn't stick super well, and it doesn't, like, when you want to actually use it to bind to it, like plastic wrap. If you wanna use it like plastic wrap, right, for plastic wrap it just sticks. Without the pine resin, it doesn't stick so well, and it definitely doesn't stick well without oil, especially if you put it in the fridge. If you put your just beeswax wrap in the fridge with no oil and no resin, it's yep. That's yep. It's exactly right. So this woman coming on and all knowingly saying, all you have to do is put beeswax, and I commented, I said, do you not use yours in the fridge? Because I'd like to know this magic beeswax that you have that doesn't chunk off in the fridge because it's cold, because that's what beeswax does when it's cold and untempered. So yeah, definitely not. And palm butter is basically like hydrogenated, right? Like it's shortening. Is that what you're talking about? Right, right. I think so. In my experience, you actually want right, 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 right. Right, right, right. Honestly, my experience is yeah, you either want a saturated, you don't want a saturated fat because saturated fats will harden the fridge, but you want a high monosaturated fat oil because polyunsaturated fat will go rancid. So you want something like olive oil or right. Yeah, that's why pretty much I use I think coconut oil. Right. Yeah, well, soybean oil is garbage. No one should be eating soybean oil. And it goes rancid. Soybean oil goes rancid real fast. Really fast. So I get really frustrated when you have these all natural skincare or hair care products and there's soybean oil in it. And I'm like, no, no, just that doesn't surprise me. Can't. Oh, it's not. I don't think, and in Europe, it's legally not allowed to be called bread. Like it is illegal to call it bread in Europe. something like that. Like you can't even use the word bread at all. Yeah, like how crazy is that? Like, oh, this isn't okay. I mean, yes, it sounds like you know what you need to do. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, you're no longer a Ferrari. You no longer just eat and it, evaporates into yeah, exactly, exactly. So do I. Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That was a big problem. Yeah. Right. shit added to it. So yeah, so you have access to farm, like you have actual access to farms. So yeah. Huh. Okay. I guess that's one way to legislate and govern. Right, yeah, no, yeah. That part's over. Well, is it though? Is it though? We're gonna find out, aren't we? The next couple of years may be revealing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. Like like no one could have seen that coming. Yep. Yep. Vote for me. Vote for me. I sound right. There's a lot of good. Oh my fucking god. What is wrong with this country? Like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like the fist. We are so buggered. We are so buggered. trucks or some ice truck or whatever. Yeah, it's like, where did the History Channel, where did the History and History Channel go? Their documentaries
Why
just,
is why 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 is this
you're right, right. Are we talking about the history of GMC or? Yeah, and some of the drivers maybe also are